Hello guys, Matthew here and welcome back again to the TechTick YouTube channel. While everyone is occupied with the release of AMD's new Vega GPUs, I'm still waiting on my first few samples to come to me, and those are probably going to be aftermarket versions, which is something we are all interested in. In the meantime, I will be taking a closer look at Sapphire's RX 570 ITX model coming from their Pulse series. As you can see, the product box is fairly small with some basic informations on it and with also a very basic bundle, bringing in just your usual user manuals, quick start guides and optical disc with drivers and software. And here's the card itself. The design of the outer shroud is fairly plain and simple without any RGB lighting, backplate cover or any other special detail. Overall, nothing too attractive or repulsive about this model, just sits somewhere in the middle, which is probably a winning formula when aiming to satisfy a larger group of potential customers. As you would guess, having the ITX acronym in its naming, this model has fairly small dimensions, measuring only 170mm in length, which is impressive considering that it holds an RX 570 series GPU. Taking its size into account, cooling components and cooling design isn't overly complex. We have one 95mm fan blowing over a block of aluminum heatsink through which go two copper heat pipes. As you will see later on, this combination actually resulted in pretty decent temperatures under load. In terms of powering it up, you'll only need one 6-pin PCI Express power cable, while the rest of it is being delivered over motherboard's PCI Express slot. For video outputs, you'll get a pretty modest and non-referent array of connections, one HDMI, one DisplayPort and one DVI-D. As for the GPU and video memory frequency, this model comes in pretty much bone stock, without any factory overclock, which is not that surprising considering its small form factor, as manufacturers tend to constrain such models due to thermal capabilities of their coolers. That said, you can see that this GPU runs at 1244 MHz at its peak, which is pretty much always, while the memory is set at 1750 MHz or 7 GHz effectively. Oh yeah, don't mind the GPU Z showing 0 MHz for GPU and memory frequency and other information missing or misreporting, as this particular version of AMD's driver doesn't go hand in hand with it. It also made MSI's Afterburner and Sapphire's Strict software useless for overclocking, so I had to use AMD's Wattman from their Crimson Radeon settings control panel. Up here I managed to get a fully stable overclock of around 1360 MHz for the GPU and just above 2000 MHz for the memory with these settings which I'm showing off here. That's a pretty decent overclock, although lower compared to my MSI's 570 Gaming X review, which you can check out in the right top corner at the card link, but that was sort of expected since this is probably not a cherry-picked chip in question, plus we have a less capable cooling and power design. Taking a look at the benchmarks and performance of the card, we are still pretty much spot on in terms of the expected results and what I've seen so far from the RX 570 and even the RX 470 series since its rebrand. 1080p performance output of this model is right where you want it to be, well over 60 FPS in basically every game, while 21:9 3440x1440 resolution results aren't too bad either. In case you own a 2560x1440 resolution monitor, that should too be a pretty decent sweet spot for this card. You'll also probably get over 60 FPS for most games. Another problem which came up as of lately with the latest version of Windows 10 updates is that it prevents current DirectX 12 and Vulkan framerate measuring tools like Present, Mon Launcher and OCAT to perform normally. Bottom line, some games keep crashing or they cannot run at all, so I've recorded on camera their built-in framerate counter showing in the corner, in particular for Dota 2 running in Vulkan, while in Battlefield 1 running in DirectX 12 I eventually managed to measure frame rates. This should give you rough performance figures of the card in this case. Checking out the temperatures, having their intelligent fan control 3 technology, the card fan turns off if it's not under heavy load, as you can see it here. This results in a bit higher temperature of the card while in idle, more so than usual since in this case we have a smaller heatsink portion compared to other RX 570s out there, so I've recorded a temperature of around 42 degrees Celsius. Under full load in FUTUREMARK I was seeing temperatures just below 70 degrees Celsius, with fans spinning at around 1500 RPM, while in Battlefield 1 during gameplay the temperature was a bit lower, around 60 to 65 degrees Celsius, keeping the similar fan speed. You've probably noticed that the GPU speed throttled in FUTUREMARK, which is a common thing usually related to the predetermined target temperature and power limit of the GPU, but a simple increase of the card's power limit fixes that completely and puts the card GPU frequency back in line. Again, because of this version of AMD's drivers, GPU Z is showing only 60% of GPU load and not 100%, so mind that too. As for the noise that it makes, in idle it's obviously dead silent since the fan doesn't spin, while under load it's audible, but not in a way it's distracting or annoying, especially inside of a chassis. Overall, this is a great capable little card, ideal for a more gaming oriented home theater PC or other types of compact chassis. That's it guys for this time from me. Thank you once again for watching. Feel free to toss me a thumbs up if you like what you saw, that really helps me a lot. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions about this product or if you want to leave your suggestions, and of course feel free to subscribe for content further down the line, or you can just check out some of my other videos from before. Until then, catch you later guys.